I don't tell this story much. Not because I don't remember it. Hell, I remember it too good. It's more that people look at you different after. Like you're either lying or crazy, and I ain't neither one. Name's Dale Mackey. 28 years, Texas Highway Patrol. Retired in 2014 with a bad knee and a couple things in my head I can't shake loose. Most of those years were fine. Long shifts, bad coffee, drunk drivers, paperwork, normal cop stuff. But the winter of 2001 wasn't normal. I was stationed out of Fort Stockton, Pecos County. If you've never been, picture I-10 heading west. There's nothing. 100 miles of flat brown desert, scrub brush, and sky so big it makes you feel small. December out there, the temperature drops hard after sundown. 20, 30 degrees, wind cutting across the highway like a blade. You'd go whole shifts without seeing another car. That's the kind of place where the dark feels like it's got weight to it. First week of December, dispatch got a 911 call around 2 a.m. A man's voice, calm, too calm for somebody reporting an emergency. He said there was going to be an accident on I-10 westbound near mile marker 44. Silver Chevy Tahoe, 2 occupants, head-on with a guardrail. Dispatch sent a unit, nothing there. 12 hours later, silver Chevy Tahoe hit the guardrail at mile marker 44. 2 occupants. Driver broke his neck. That got people's attention. The call traced back to a payphone at mile marker 41 westbound side. Little concrete pull-off that used to be a rest area in the 80s. Here's the thing. Southwestern Bell pulled that payphone out in 1994. The concrete pad was still there and a rusted metal post where the phone used to hang. But the phone itself had been gone 7 years. Second call came 4 days later. Same voice, same dead calm tone. Red Ford Explorer, family of 4, rollover near mile marker 38. Said the mother wouldn't make it. My sergeant, Bill Hernandez, good man, called me in, told me to drive out to 41 and see what the hell was going on. Maybe somebody rigged a cell to spoof the old number. Maybe some sick bastard was causing these wrecks and calling ahead. Go look. So I did. Drove out there around 10 p.m., no moon, just my headlights and a million stars. Pulled off at the old rest area, got out with my mag light. Nothing. Cracked concrete pad, the rusted post, a couple of beer cans tossed from a car window. No phone, no wires, no sign anybody'd been out there in years. I walked a circle around the whole area, 50 yards in every direction. Rocks and dead brush. That's it. I was standing there writing notes when my radio went off. Dispatch. Another 911 call, right then. From the payphone at mile marker 41, I looked at the empty concrete pad. I was standing on it. The caller described the Explorer, rollover, mile marker 38, family of 4, mother in the front passenger seat wouldn't survive. I got in my cruiser and drove. Lights and siren, 90 on the empty highway. 3 miles west I saw it, the Explorer upside down in the median, wheels still spinning. Smelled rubber and gasoline before I even got my door open. Family of 4, 2 kids in the back, screaming but alive. Father conscious, bleeding bad. Mother, she was gone. Just like the voice said. I worked that scene 3 hours, kept my hands steady, did my job, but something in my gut was wrong in a way it had never been before. Back at the station around 4 a.m., I pulled the dispatch tapes, listened to every call. The voice was the same on all of them. Male, 50s or 60s, flat West Texas accent, no feeling in it at all, like reading off a grocery list. But it was the end of that last call that got me. After describing the Explorer, the voice paused, then said 5 words before the line went dead. There's more coming, Sergeant. Sergeant, I wasn't a sergeant in December 2001. I was a senior trooper. My promotion didn't come through until February 2002. Whoever, whatever, was making those calls didn't just know about wrecks before they happened. It knew things about me that hadn't happened yet. I sat in that break room with the tape player and cold coffee, listening to those 5 words on a loop until the sun came up. thinking about that empty concrete pad, that rusted post, that phone that wasn't there. Somebody was calling from it anyway. After the Explorer wreck, I couldn't let it go. You gotta understand, I'm a cop. Was a cop. When something don't make sense, I pick at it. That's the job. You pull the thread until the whole thing unravels or until you run out of thread. Over the next 2 weeks, 3 more calls came in from that payphone. December 10th, the voice said an 18-wheeler hauling cattle would jackknife near mile marker 36. Described the trailer company. Garcia Livestock, green and white logo. Said the driver would walk away, but 14 head of cattle wouldn't make it. Next morning, around 6 a.m., that exact rig folded itself across both lanes. Driver stumbled out with a busted collarbone. The cattle, well, I'll spare you that part. December 14th, wrong way driver, westbound lane. Blue Dodge Ram, older model, male driver. The caller said the man would be dead before anyone reached him. He was right. Drunk. Blood alcohol was .23. He'd gotten on the highway going the wrong direction at the Van Horn exit, head on with a concrete barrier. December 17th, a white Ford F-250 would go off the overpass at the junction with Route 285. 2 teenagers inside. The caller said both would survive, but one would never walk again. That happened exactly 20 hours after the call. 2 boys from Pecos, 17 years old. The passenger's back was broken in 3 places. Every detail matched. Every single one. I started keeping a log. Times, exact words, background noise. The voice never changed. Same man, same flat tone, same West Texas drawl that could have belonged to anybody's granddad. No background noise at all. No wind, no traffic, just the voice and dead air. Sergeant Hernandez signed off on letting me dig into the payphone's history. I think he was just as spooked as I was. I called Southwestern Bell. Got bounced around for 2 days before some guy in records found what I needed. The payphone was installed in 1979 as part of a rural safety program. Low usage, removed in '94, standard stuff. But there was one record that stopped me cold. December 19th, 1983. A call was placed from that payphone to the Pecos County Sheriff's Office reporting a 1050, that's a traffic accident, at mile marker 41. A highway patrol cruiser off the road. Units responded, found the cruiser in a ditch, rolled, engine still running. The officer inside was dead. Blunt force trauma. His name was Sergeant Raymond Vasquez. I read that name and something cold settled right in the middle of my chest. I pulled Vasquez's personnel file. 12 years on the highway patrol, stationed out of Fort Stockton, worked the I-10 corridor. My route. He was responding to a dispatch call that night. Someone had reported an accident at mile marker 41. But when investigators looked into it, there was no accident at 41. The call that sent Vasquez out there was a false report. Called in from the same payphone. The payphone sent him to his death, and then the payphone reported his death. Let that sink in a second. I drove back out to mile marker 41. Daytime this time. I wasn't going out there at night again, not after what happened before. High noon, bright sun, everything flat and visible for miles. I parked and walked to the concrete pad. Got down on my hands and knees with a flashlight, even though I didn't need one. Started looking at the surface real close. That's when I found it. Scratched into the concrete. Not spray paint, not marker. Scratched, like somebody took a nail or a piece of rebar and dug into the surface. It was hard to see unless you were right on top of it. A list, 5 lines, 5 dates. The first 4 matched the 4 accidents. Exact dates. December 3rd, December 7th, December 10th, December 14th. The 5th line read, December 23rd. That was 3 days away. And below the date, scratched deeper than the rest, like whoever did it wanted to make damn sure it was readable. Unit 114, my unit number. The number painted on the door of my Crown Victoria. The car I drove every shift. I stood up, looked around, Nothing but empty desert in every direction. Not a soul, not a sound except the wind. But I swear, and I know how this sounds, I swear I felt like somebody was standing right behind me. Close enough to touch. I didn't turn around. I got in my car and I drove back to the station. And for the first time in 15 years of police work, I was scared. I showed Hernandez the photos. He read my report, rubbed his face, and said, "Dale, I'm pulling you off the corridor on the 23rd. I told him no. If he put another trooper on my route and something happened to them, that was on him. He stared at me a long time. Then, you be careful out there. December 23rd, 2001. I remember every minute. Came in early, checked my cruiser top to bottom, tires, brakes, lights, topped off the gas. Even checked under the car, which I'd never done before a shift in my life. Sun went down around 6. Temperature hit 26 by 10 p.m. Clear sky, no clouds, no wind at all. Strange for December out there. The air was dead still, like the desert was holding its breath. I drove my route, Fort Stockton to the county line, back again. Every time I passed mile marker 41, I slowed and looked. The concrete pad and the rusted post, lit for a second in my headlights, then gone. 10 p.m., nothing. 10:30, nothing. 11 p.m., eastbound near mile marker 39, the radio crackled. Dispatch. Linda, 15 years on nights, nothing rattled her, but I could hear it. She was rattled. Unit 114, another call from the mile marker 41 payphone. I keyed the mic. Go ahead. Long pause. Then, caller described a white Crown Victoria, unit number 114, overturned at mile marker 41. Officer inside, he said. Another pause. He said the officer wouldn't make it. My hands were tight on the wheel, doing 60. I eased off the gas, 40, 35. You know it's coming, that's the advantage. Watching the road so hard my eyes hurt. Mile marker 40 slid past. Then I saw him. A figure. Standing in the middle of the westbound lane, my lane. Maybe 200 yards ahead. Just standing there, not moving, not waving, arms at his sides. I hit the brakes. Brought the cruiser down to a crawl. My high beams lit him up. A man, tall, wearing a highway patrol uniform, but the old style, late 70s, early 80s. Tan shirt, brown tie, the old campaign hat. I'd seen that exact uniform in Raymond Vasquez's personnel file. I stopped maybe 50 feet from him, headlights right on him, but the light didn't land right, like he was standing in his own shadow with nothing behind him to cast one. I reached for the radio. Dead. No static, no hum, just silence. The dashboard lights flickered once and went steady. The figure raised one hand, slowly, and he pointed not at me, not at my car. He pointed behind me. I looked in the rearview mirror. Headlights, coming up fast, in my lane. No roof lights, no reflectors, just 2 yellow headlights drifting straight toward me. I didn't think. I cut the wheel hard right and hit the gas. The Crown Vic jumped off the road onto the gravel shoulder, and I felt the tires slide, felt the back end start to swing, but I held it tight. The truck, big flatbed, no running lights, screamed past, doing at least 80. Close enough that the wind shook my car. If I'd been sitting in that lane, head on. Cruiser flipped, me inside, just like the voice said. When I looked back at where the figure had been, nobody. Empty road. Mile marker 41 right there, 20 feet to my left. The rusted post, the concrete pad. I sat on that shoulder a long time, hands shaking. Radio came back after about 5 minutes like nothing happened. I didn't call it in. What was I going to say? Drove back to the station. Rode up the near miss with the truck. Left out the man in the road. Some things you don't put in a report. I found out later, weeks later, going through old records, that Sergeant Raymond Vasquez's unit number when he died in December 1983 was 114, same as mine. I transferred off the I-10 corridor in January 2002. Never drove that stretch after dark again. I put in 13 more years and retired. But I'll tell you something I've never told anyone. That night on the shoulder before the radio came back, I heard something. Real faint, like it was coming from a long way off, or from a long time ago. A phone ringing, coming from that concrete pad. I still don't drive at night. My wife thinks it's because of my eyes. My kids think I'm just getting old. That's fine. Let them think that. I know what's really out there at mile marker 41, and I know it's